Hi, my name is Anna Palamumi. I'm a certified and licensed speech-language pathologist, and today I want to talk about picture albums and how to use them to not only model language but also elicit language from little ones. About 3 years ago, when my daughter turned 1, I decided to put together an album of her first year, and I gave it to my husband for Father's Day. And initially, I just thought that it would be something that we would treasure as her parents, and of course we do. But I was surprised that as she got a little bit older, and probably around 15 months or so, she really enjoyed looking at those pictures and going through the pages. And at that time, of course, she wasn't speaking in complete sentences necessarily, but she was able to just look at the pictures and talk about them in her limited vocabulary, naming things and so on. But we just always reinforced those experiences and just really made a big deal as we together sometimes would look through them and talk about the things that we had done and so on, and just seeing her as a baby. And now she's 4 and she still loves going through the albums, and I have actually now made one every year, and it's kind of become our tradition for Father's Day. But I just was really surprised to see how engaged she was all through that time. Just really, she loves going through them. She will sit sometimes and just go through album after album, and she'll talk about the experiences. And now, of course, as a 4-year-old, she has a lot more language, and she can talk about them with a lot more complexity. But even my 2.5-year-old now, he will do the same, and he enjoys going through them, and they talk about it and they compare their baby pictures and so on. And so it's just a really nice tool to get kids talking. And sometimes we forget there are simple ways that we can promote language use. And for little ones that maybe aren't speaking very much, it's a great way to model language, but also generate that language from them, and helping them to label things and to begin using verbs and so on, and just really advancing their language use through those. And so I just wanted to show you some different options of what I use, and maybe how to incorporate it in your home if you're a parent, or if you're a therapist, that you'll be able to incorporate it into one of your sessions with one of your kiddos. And the probably the source I use the most is Shutterfly, and there's the online Shutterfly, and also there are now the iPhone apps and the iPad apps. And I've never actually used the apps, so I don't know exactly how they function. But Shutterfly is great. It's fairly inexpensive if you choose, for example, a book that is this size. There are paperback options, there are hard book options, but it's just very simple. You can upload your pictures, and you can very quickly generate a photo album. If you choose their quick option, it'll pretty much just put your pictures in order and give it the thing that you want. And you don't really have to do a whole lot of arranging if you're not real crafty, or you don't feel like you are a scrapbooker in a sense. It's just very simple to use, and you can generate them quickly. And I think the cheapest ones run around $11, $12 if they're on sale. I think about $13 regular price, so fairly inexpensive. And they don't have to be elaborate, but you can make them as elaborate as you want them to be, and adding words, or just making them strictly pictures. There's also, for example, like I've done, a book option like this, where it's an actual hard book, and I spend a lot more time on these, and they usually cover a whole year. When I make them for my family, a year's worth of pictures and memories for us. But again, it can be a very simple process that wouldn't take a whole lot of time. But then I think, benefits after you have completed the project, you can just use it in a lot of different ways. And I think your kids would enjoy that as maybe just another tool that you can use to really just stimulate language use. Because I find that when they especially for kids that struggle to speak, or maybe are just a little bit slow getting started, or you're not seeing that rapid vocabulary growth. Just seeing themselves on the page is very stimulating. It's very motivating. And so there are, other book options that you can use, just storybooks and so on, to look at pictures and talk about them. But when you're looking at pictures that reflect your everyday experiences, and looking at pictures that are about you, or about brother or sister or mommy or daddy or grandma, it just makes it that more personal. And so I just find that it just really motivates kids all the more to want to maybe vocalize or verbalize about it. And another option that I use, which is another website, and it's called lessonpics.com. And LessonPix is an excellent resource really for any parent, teacher, therapist, because you can make all kinds of materials, and storybooks and game boards and templates of, just a lot of different things, flashcards and so on. But they have a new little book function or template, and you can just upload your own pictures. The website actually has thousands and thousands of pictures that are available for you to use for different materials that you would potentially generate. But the option is there as well for you to upload your own, and that's where sometimes I've used it. So for example, I did a little book of fall for my kids, of just different things that we had done. Some of them are, playing in a pile of leaves. One was, or some of the pictures are from when we went to a pumpkin patch, excuse me, and so just different fall kinds of activities that we did. And my focus for this little book was just verbs and things that we were doing, so action words. And so, like, I have, a picture of them jumping in a pile of leaves, and I have pictures of them holding pumpkins, or playing in a corn sandbox or corn box. And so I just picked different action words or pictures that would depict things that I wanted to emphasize, and then I could then go through those pictures with them and talk about them, and say, using either you are and what it is that they're doing, or he is, jumping, or she is jumping, or if you want to use their name, if it's Johnny is jumping, look, Daisy is jumping, or so. Just, you can make it either first person, third person, whatever it is that you're trying to show them or model for them. But it's just a quick and easy way, and I can generate a little book like this in 3 minutes. And so the website again is lessonpics.com, and it's fairly inexpensive, and you can generate all kinds of materials there. So I think it would be worth your time and money really to look at it a little bit closer. Another option, if you have just very, very little ones and you're wanting to use this, is these little plasticky photo albums that have the it's kind of like a board book feel, but they're plastic. And for little ones, then you don't have to worry about ruining your pictures. They can drool on them, they can, mouth them, whatever, and it doesn't ruin your pictures. So just a nice little way to, you can put different pictures in, and maybe alternate them, just update them as you go, as they get a little bit older, and just use them again to just reinforce language and talk about things, and model that language that they need, and give them that language input that they need in order to make gains in their language development. Another option would be to just laminate. These are all laminated photos here, and just binding them with a just little ring binder, and that's usually a fairly easy thing to do. There are a lot of places now where you can laminate if you don't have a laminating machine at home. that are fairly inexpensive, and so just another way to display, pictures and have a little album. And really, I leave these, aside from the Shutterfly books, because these did cost me a little bit more. So I don't just leave them, hanging around in their bedrooms. And I try to be a little bit more careful. But with ones like these, or the ones that I've laminated, I don't really care, or they're in a way childproof, and so I don't have to worry as much about, are they going to tear them up, will my pictures get ruined, and so on. And so I'm able to just leave those, and I leave them around in their rooms, or I have little baskets of books or things, and just occasionally they'll pull them out and they look through them. Same with these, I leave them accessible, and if they want to look at them, usually I try to supervise a little bit, but I give them pretty much free reign. And it's amazing to see how much language they use as they go through the books, and show each other, the pictures, and just really, it's very cute just to hear them talk about those experiences, in their way. And so another option, of course, would just be a regular old picture album that has, just different sleeves, and you can do, there's little ones, there's ones that contain a lot, but it doesn't, again, have to be elaborate. Even 10 pictures, just something that you can go through and just make that a little activity where together you're able to just really elicit a lot of language from your little one through those pictures. Some iPad, or one iPad or iPhone option. There's one called One Click Album, and it's real simple. You can take pictures using your iPhone or your iPad, and then upload them and just do a real quick little album. And they have maybe 10 different theme options that you can pick from. You can add some text to the pages if you want. You do even have the option to print the albums, or have them produced and sent to you if you want. But again, even if you just used it on the iPad or on the iPhone, I wouldn't recommend it necessarily always that be the medium that you use, because I think it's important to still have something in your hand that you can look through. And I'm not an avid ebook reader. I still love books in my hands that I can actually thumb through. And so if you're like me, I would just alternate, maybe sometimes use an electronic album, and then other times use an actual something that they can hold and they can manipulate with their hands. But either way, the point being that you're just really maximizing these family albums, which you probably are doing anyway, so it's not extra work that you're having to put together, but just using those very efficiently to be able to generate language from your little ones, especially those that are struggling. And if you're a therapist, what I recommend is I kind of go through a series of different activities that I follow for toddlers when I'm doing therapy and just trying to elicit language. So I might use bubbles, or stuffed animals, or kitchen, or farm toys. And so I just might take one picture of that child in each of those situations, and then maybe after 6 sessions or so, then I would just compile or maybe you could do 8, you could do 10, it wouldn't really matter, but just compile the sequence of pictures that you've taken, and then just let that next activity, or that next session that you have together with that client, be one where you go through those pictures. And so whether you print them off, whether you leave them on the iPad or the iPhone, but that you go through and then you can say, look, here you are, blowing bubbles, or pushing the car, and so, and it could be, you could of course then also graduate the kinds of prompts that you're giving them, or the kinds of models that you're giving them, by just maybe beginning by just doing, 1 or 2 word utterances as you look through the pictures, and then maybe increasing depending on their level. So just utilize, those opportunities just to give you another context for enhancing their language skills. I hope you've enjoyed this segment, and thank you so much for your time.